Hello everyone, let me welcome you to the What's Your Story series on the NYN Show. On this show we invite people to share their story with us with a view that others who watch could be inspired for them to be able to create their own beautiful stories one day. The themes we cover on this show are around education, relationships, profession, careers, religion, finances and social life. There could be more. The languages we use on this show are two, English or Twi, but we go with the preference of our guest. So today I have Dani with me, and it'll be interesting because I'll give her a choice whether she wants to speak to us in Twi or in English. So my guest on the show today is Danielle, also known as Mrs. Danielle Boateng. I was quite fascinated, if not very fascinated, by Dani and her story because I had an experience with her when I turned 40 years, about 4 years ago. Yeah, I know, right? I don't look 40 plus, but I am 40 plus. And Dani did some great photos for me when she filmed at my party. So when I had this idea to create this show, I called her and she was happy to accept to be part of the crew. So she's already done my first intros, and if you haven't seen that, then please do part 1, part 2, where you get the concept of the NYN Show and what it's all about. So as I've got Dani with me here in the studio, I will ask her a few questions so that we can get an in-depth story about her, what she's all about, because I do know some bits, but I also accept that there may be things that I don't know. So until I chat to her properly in this space, I wouldn't know. So let me welcome you to the show, Dani. Is it okay if I call you Dani?
Yeah, you can call me Dani, that's fine.
Excellent. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling calm, I'm okay. I feel relaxed.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
I'm happy to be here.
Super. I mentioned Twi and English, or Twi and English, so mixture or either. What
I
is your
prefer
preference?
English.
Why is that, Dani?
I understand Twi, but my Twi is not that great.
Okay.
So English would be better.
So could you then explain to me, please, and our viewers, your background, your Ghanaian Twi connection then?
Well, my parents, yes, they're Ghanaian, but as I was growing up, my dad spoke English to me throughout, whereas my mom spoke Twi. So I think I learnt the English more. So I understand Twi, but I can't. My Twi's a bit brothalized.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do English. To say Dani. Excellent. See, that was Twi. I asked her how she is, and she said she's fine. But now we will stick to English for the purpose of this conversation. How did you cope with recent events as far as lockdown and COVID-19 is concerned?
COVID-19, I've been working from home since February. So ever since lockdown, I've been at home. Even right now, as we're speaking, I'm still working from home. So I would say just as everyone else, I've just been indoors, following government guidelines and just being indoors really. Yeah. Okay,
so if you say working from home, can I ask what you do?
Okay, so I'm a full-time social worker. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Okay, so let's go back a step. Tell me about your education or your childhood to begin with. What's your family setting like? Okay. You've mentioned your mom, you've mentioned your dad. Who else do you have in your family?
Well, in my family, I have a younger sister, and I'm the eldest, so it's just me and my sister and my mom and dad. And you asked about my background, like, so I'm 25. I went to university. Well, obviously I went to primary school, secondary school, then went to university to study social work. And when I graduated, I then pursued social work and became a social worker. Okay, so before going to uni, I know that some young people either go to sixth form after GCSEs or they go to college. Which one did you do? I went to sixth form.
Okay.
Actually, it was a sixth form college. It's kind of both, but yeah, sixth form.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did A levels?
Yes, I did A levels. Yeah.
Which subjects did you do?
I did sociology, psychology, religious studies, and drama and theatre studies. Yeah.
Okay. That's a really good combination. I guess that explains why you chose to study social work at university. Exactly. Now tell me a bit about your university life. What was it like? Okay. Actually, before we get there, Dani, did you stay on campus or you went to uni living at home? Because I know some young people prefer to move away from home to go to uni? What did you do?
Well, I stayed on campus because my parents' home was in London, and I went to university in Southampton, so that it wouldn't have been easy to commute. So I decided to stay on campus, and yeah, uni was interesting, I would say.
Tell me more. What was interesting about it?
It wasn't easy for me. I think leaving home was it was different. I've never left home, so you know, as a new student, you know, leaving London to go to Southampton. I didn't know anyone in Southampton. None of my friends were going to that university, so it was quite frightening. But I went anyway. In my first year of university, I think as a young student, I didn't really have that much confidence. So I did struggle a little bit. And because of that, I had to repeat a year. So yeah, in my first year, I struggled. And I ended up repeating the first year. But I didn't give up. I still continued. And after 4 years, so it was supposed to be a 3-year course. But instead of 3 years, I did 4 years. But eventually, I completed and I graduated.
Excellent. So just taking it back a step, you went to Southampton and your parents live in London and you lived in London, I guess, all your life. Why Southampton and not London? Because I know there are loads and loads of universities in London. I mean, I went to 2 universities in London. My first one was Westminster, and then I did a master's at London Met. So why Southampton?
That's a good question. I think at the time, I never thought of London, to be honest. I think because everyone was just going outside. I was looking at universities outside, and I was trying to look at universities that were a bit good in my course, and most of them tended to be outside. So yeah, that's the reason why I chose Southampton. Yeah.
Super. I guess that was quite brave as well for somebody who was just used to living at home with mummy and daddy. I guess eating all kinds of Ghanaian food. Going away to Southampton where it was either you struggled to cook your own Ghanaian food, probably not to the taste of your mum, or just to eat the conventional English food. How was it for you then, I guess?
I think
from that perspective.
With food, I didn't struggle because my mom taught me from a very, very young age to cook. So the basics, you know, to make stew, jollof rice, the basic Ghanaian food. And I love my food. So I never struggled with food. And obviously my mom sometimes when I come home, she would also make me food, which a lot of students benefited from. So I never had any issues with that at all.
So a lot of students benefited from your mom's cooking or from their parents cooking for them?
From their parents cooking, but my mom also, so if I had some of my friends, she would also cook in bulk and they would also get some. So that was good for them as well.
Excellent. So this thing about university and the struggles of your first year, tell me more. What did you find challenging about it? Because you've just said that you had to repeat your first year. So was it just down to you and the lack of confidence, or what was it? Because some people will argue that young people these days, they don't take their uni stuff seriously and they party and they do a lot of stuff. So maybe that contributed to that. Would you say that's right or not?
I think with me, I was never a party person. In fact, I'm probably one of those children that's always indoors. I never ever went out, even university, freshers week, I never experienced that sort of uni life. I think mine was more of self-confidence. I just wasn't confident being away from home. I wasn't confident in myself. So in my course, my confidence was very, very low, I think. And that really affected, you know, my writing, you know, my exams, the stress, it just got to me. So I think not having confidence in yourself can really have an impact on, you know, your work, and that's what happened to me in my first year. And when I discovered that was the problem, when I was repeating, I did better. I started to pray more, I started to have more confidence, and my grades were higher, and that's how I got through all the years. And you know, I graduated and got my social work bachelor's honours degree.
Excellent. I think you've more or less answered my next question, because I was going to ask you, what did you do to help with your confidence? So if, for example, somebody goes to uni, they're struggling with their first year, maybe going through the same challenges as you had, how would you advise them to persevere? Because you obviously persevered, hence why you're a qualified social worker. What would you say to them?
Well, from a religious point of view, what helped me, my coping mechanism was prayer. I would say I wasn't really prayerful. in my first year. I was just very comfortable, very lukewarm. I was just there. Whereas when that happened to me, it made me get closer to God. And my coping mechanism was just to pray, to worship more, and that really boosted up my confidence. And I got closer to my parents as well, my dad, and he was very supportive. Friends was very supportive as well, and all of that support system around me helped me. So that's basically how I coped. Yeah.
I like your answer, because I'm thinking if somebody isn't religious, they don't know God, they don't know about God, how else then can they get through something as stressful as that one? But yeah, you've just mentioned about the support network then, you talked about your parents, your friends and other people. So thank you for sharing that with us. So you were a social worker and you said you work 9 to 5.
Yes.
Working from home. How has COVID changed the work of social workers? Like when you weren't working from home, how did you do your job, and how has it changed now that you're working from home? Can you give us a bit more insight, please?
I would say the workload has not changed. I still have the same caseload. I still work with the same, service users. It is a bit different, so I don't meet my clients as much face to face, obviously because of government guidelines. I don't visit homes as I used to. So there's certain things, of course, because of COVID that I cannot do, but everything else is the same. We've now moved everything to virtual meetings online, like Zoom meetings, phone calls, all of that is still the same. Assessments, all of that is still the same. It's just the, face-to-face contact or physical contact that can't really happen. But apart from that, I would say everything's the same. Yeah.
Thank you. You mentioned about faith and faith in God, and is it safe to say that your parents are very religious, and did they take you to church every Saturday or Sunday? Tell me more about that side of your life.
Okay, well, yeah, both of my parents are Christians, and from birth, I would say I was raised in the church.
Which church is this then?
So to be specific, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That's the church that I've grown up in my whole life, and the church I still attend as well. So yeah, both of my parents growing up Christian, and I'm also a Christian. So yeah.
Were your parents typical Ghanaian parents? Were they strict, or how would you say in terms of their raising you and that?
That's a good question. Yeah, I would say my parents are typical Ghanaian parents. When it comes to strictness, I think when I was younger they were very strict, but as I've grown, I feel like they've also grown with how society and how they are more modern, I guess. I think they've also learned that things change. So certain traditions they may have brought from Ghana, where we are from, they may be a bit more lenient with certain things, but yeah, they are typical Ghanaian parents. But as time has gone on, as me and my sister have grown, they've changed how they approach certain things, which is good, I guess. So, yeah.
Did you have problems with boyfriends? Like, did your dad or mum ever disapprove of any boyfriend?
I think boyfriend-girlfriend thing was kind of a taboo topic in my household. Yeah. Of course, yes, they had their views. I mean, my parents just wanted the best for me and my sister. So if they ever did disagree with something, I think it was just for the best. Okay. Of course, being born in this country, myself and my sister may have different views to my parents. And of course, yeah, there were many times we may have clashed. But I mean, as being older, there's certain things you just understand, and you understand the reasons. It's only when you're older that you start to understand, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the answer. Okay, great.
I mean, you talked about your social work, and I'm quite fascinated to know that you actually went through university to study social work, and now you're a qualified social work. Because obviously I didn't meet you as a social worker. I met you as somebody that's filming and pictures and all that. So tell me that side of your media talents, and what's happening there? How did you become a media person? Because obviously you're one of the filmers for the NYN Show. So tell me about that side.
So outside of social work, media is a whole different side. Okay. I think I developed my passion for media from when I was very, very young. I was always that girl with the camera everywhere. So I started with photography, I would say like 8 years ago. I didn't go to university or anything for it. I kind of taught myself from YouTube tutorials. I kind of shadowed other photographers, and I started my career doing photography on the side. So whilst I was studying, I was actually doing photography as well. So I'll do photo shoots, I'll go for bookings, I'll go and do events, and my photography kind of grew that way. And I was getting quite a lot of opportunities actually, and I kind of thought I want to learn more. I don't just want to do photography, I want to also learn videography and film. So I met my partner. When I met my partner, his speciality was filmmaking and videography. So he taught me, because that's what I wanted to learn. He taught me all of that, and I kind of adapted both. So I basically combined photography and videography, and me and my partner basically opened our own business, media business. And yeah, basically went on from there.
Excellent, because now you're 25, and I know 4 years ago when I had my special big birthday, you did pictures and other stuff. So you must have been 21 then. And I remember when I rang you about this show, you said I've become even better since that time, which was music to my ear. So I think you've done really, really well. We will talk a bit more about your partner, husband stuff shortly. So apart from social work, media stuff, teaming up with your husband, whom we're going to speak about shortly, what else do you do? Because I know you do some charity stuff, don't you?
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
I launched my charity in Ghana, how many years? 3 years ago. So my charity is called DNA Africa, or DNA Social Services.
What does DNA stand for? Because I thought it was Daniel Nanatakra, but obviously it doesn't stand for that. What is DNA?
Okay, so D stands for develop.
Yeah.
N stands for nurture.
Yeah.
And advance stands for, no, A stands for advance.
Okay,
so
cool.
we are developing, nurturing and advancing Africa.
Okay.
So yeah.
Through social work.
Of course. So of course, with my background in social work, I kind of felt that, Africa has quite a big gap. They don't really have a social service. In Africa, if there's a social problem, there's not really an institution to go to. They go to the police, and the police can't really they deal with crimes, they deal with certain things, but there isn't really an institution or some sort of, office to go to for certain issues. So the main reason I actually started my charity or my organization was to kind of tackle those problems. So on a bigger scale, I would want it to be like how social services are in this country.
Okay.
So obviously I've started as a small organization, and we were a non-profit organization. We deal with stuff like youth unemployment, homelessness, a lot of issues. And yeah, so that was founded in Ghana 3 years ago. Okay. And we do a lot of projects. We work with quite a lot of people and other organizations as well. And yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Thank you, Danny. Can you give me one example of some of your highest moments in that aspect of your work, like the charity work? What have you done, one piece of work that's given you great satisfaction, made you feel proud that you've been able to set up this whole thing?
Okay, one of the projects that I think I'm quite popular for is I've been working with Jamestown quite a lot.
Jamestown is in Accra,
Is in Accra, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So if you go to Jamestown and you mention DNA, they wouldn't, they've been working with us for quite a long time. In fact, that was the first town I actually started working with. So we started working with the young people, the young boys and girls. We've done quite a lot of projects with them, sports projects, projects about youth unemployment. We've connected a lot of young people to different organizations for work. We've done a lot of fundraising there, so fundraising in the UK to go back and help a lot of homelessness people, and yeah, so I would say that's one thing I'm proud of, because Jamestown is quite a big town, and a lot of people know Jamestown and Accra, and yeah, that's one of the places we've basically done many projects within.
Of course. Excellent. So now let's go back to media and the connection with your husband and that. Apart from, I would say maybe, is it fair then to say that is the media that got you attracted to Joseph, or Joseph attracted to you? Because Joseph is Danielle's husband. Is it the media that drew you two together, or how did you two meet?
Pretty much, yeah. So I would say, yeah, we kind of met through the media. So we were basically working together. He was doing a lot of my documentaries for me, and I guess that's how we met. He was also helping me with my charity as well in Ghana. So we were just doing a lot of work together, and that's how we met. And of course, everything else is just history.
I see. Yeah. So how did it bring you two together? How did you meet him, or how did he meet you?
So I go to Ghana quite a lot.
Okay.
So that's where Joseph was based. So of course, because of my charity and because of the works that I do, I go to Ghana quite a lot. So when I went to Ghana, I was looking for a really good filmmaker, and they recommended Joseph to me because of the sort of works that he does, and that's basically how we met. He filmed my first ever documentary called African Diaspora.
I see.
Which is actually one of the best documentaries I've ever done in my life.
Excellent. Hopefully we'll show some of it in this conversation.
Yeah, in fact, that documentary was recognised by the UK Prime Minister, and I was invited to 10 Downing Street because of that documentary.
Excellent.
And I think that's one of my greatest achievements. And so it was kind of through all of that, you know, that kind of brought me and Joseph together, because of just how I would say he was doing a lot of things to kind of increase. I would say in the media, I wasn't really on a good level. I didn't really know much. And he kind of taught me everything. And so I think that's what kind of led. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah. So he's very good with his hands then, is it fair to say,
very
or his eyes?
Person, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Good with his hands. Super, thank you. So you said Joseph is your partner. What's the difference between husband and partner? Is he your husband or is he your partner? Because I know you're Boateng now.
So Joseph is my husband, but he's also my partner. He's also my business partner.
Oh, business partner.
Yeah.
Okay, so partner in the business sense, but not in the relationship.
Yes.
So how does it feel to be in business with your husband?
I think it's one of the best things for me because I've always wanted to grow an empire with my husband. That's always something when I was young I've always kind of imagined. So yeah, I think it just worked out for me that we both had common skills and common interests. So there's things that I don't know that he teaches me, and things that he doesn't know that I teach him. So it's almost like a puzzle that fits perfectly.
Excellent.
We help each other, and so that helps the business work perfectly. So I would say, yeah, it works out well, I guess. Yeah.
Do you trust him?
100%, yeah.
Okay. Where is Joseph now?
He's here with me in London at the moment.
Excellent. So he joined you?
Yes.
How does it feel to have your husband? Because I know that there was a period of time between when you got married and when he joined you that he wasn't here, and that was at the peak of lockdown due to COVID. How did you cope?
Yeah, so because our wedding was literally before COVID.
Okay.
So after COVID, I would say we hadn't seen each other for 9 months or 10 months. And it was difficult, of course, and if anyone that's in long distance relationship would understand how difficult it is. And also his work, the sort of job he was doing, it was very difficult for him to he didn't really have that much time, and he couldn't also come here because of the sort of job he was doing, and I couldn't go to Ghana because of COVID. The Ghanaian borders were closed, so it was difficult. So we were just trying to figure out how it would work, you know, with his job over there and my job over here with COVID, but thanks to God, he's been able to come, and yeah, we're here now together.
So he's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got extra glow, extra smile. What was the first night like? God, can I ask that?
It was weird because.
Did you pray?
Yes, Joseph is he's like a prayer warrior.
Oh, okay, good.
Prays every second of the day. Yeah, that's what he does every second. So yeah, we pray. In fact, we pray every day. I think that's one thing that keeps us very strong. Prayer.
Okay, cool. Thanks for saying that.
Very, very strong. The first day he came, it was very weird because it was like so many months without seeing each other. But so we're just kind of trying to figure out, is this actually real or is it a dream? So yeah, it was weird, but I guess we're kind of getting used to it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope to speak to him one day to hear what he will say about it. In fact, I would love to play the Mr. and Mrs. games like they play at weddings.
Yeah.
You know what people sometimes say? Let's be honest. He was based in Ghana, now he's here, and some people sometimes think that when they come from Ghana, they just get what they want and they leave. Do you see Joseph as somebody you can trust? And I have to ask you that.
No, I trust Joseph 100%.
Okay.
I've seen every corner of his life. His mother's side is father's side, I've seen before we even got married, we were very close friends. And I think for any marriage or relationship, friendship is a very good foundation to have. So, you know, we are friends before anything. And so I would say that's what's built our trust. And also being in a long distance relationship, the only way it could work is with trust and communication. If you don't have trust, it's never going to work.
Yeah, of course.
So us being able to overcome that long distance and the trust, I think being together, we're only stronger than how we was in long distance. So trust is definitely something that I would say we have.
That's good. And how long were you together for before the wedding?
4 years.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you've been together for about 5 years now?
That's right, yeah.
Super. Well, I wish you the very best in that area. And how about children then? Do you hope to have kids one day?
Oh, of course, 100%, yeah.
How many?
However how many God wants. I don't want to have too many. And to be honest, I don't know, whatever God gives, I mean, I can't say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Is it this sort of conversation you have with your husband, like, how many should we have? And you say, I want 3, you say you want 2, or how does it work?
I think we're quite flexible. I would say no more less than 2, no more than 6. No, 4.
I beg your pardon.
Did I say 6? No. No more less than 2.
Yeah.
And no more than 4.
All right.
If that makes sense, yeah.
It makes sense, yeah. Hopefully I'll get him in the seat one day and he can also share his story with me. But no, so if you found somebody who is up and coming at the age of 18 and they're as ambitious as you are, you know, because you're 25, you're married, you've graduated, you're a social worker, you've got charity, you've got media stuff. How do you manage to combine it all and still look so good as you're looking in the studio right now? What would you say to a young person who looks up to you? What would you tell them?
I would say it's not easy. I'm not going to pretend like managing all of that is easy. It isn't. Sometimes I can't even be bothered to continue. Sometimes I want to give up. But the sort of advice I'll give to any young person with any sort of dreams or plans is to don't procrastinate. Do whatever you dream of doing is very possible. I never thought I could run a charity at my age, but it was a vision I had and I just did it. And so I would advise any young person, whatever dream you have, even if it looks impossible, it can be done, but you have to believe in yourself and try not to give up. But it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy because as being a social worker on its own, that in itself is stressful. You know, it's very, very stressful having to manage a charity, especially I'm not in Ghana. I'm here in the UK and the charity is based in Ghana. That in itself is very difficult, you know, having to trust certain people in Ghana to run certain projects, and it's difficult. And, you know, the media side to being a social worker, getting bookings in and out, I have to manage the two. But I mean, it's a vision that I've had and I just have to push and not give up. Yeah.
Excellent. That's very, very good. So perseverance, maybe a bit more confidence and trust, I guess, helps. And so you're here, you've trusted people in Ghana to manage all their affairs, and is it all going well?
Yes, I can say now. There's been times where it hasn't. Okay. You know, I mean...
Like what times? Can you share something with us?
I mean, when you plan something and it just doesn't go according to plan, whether you want something done on a certain date or someone has to do something and there's delays and, you know, money's involved and then someone's not being honest, you know, these sort of things. There's always problems at some point, but I mean, we learn from these mistakes and we still continue anyway. So, yeah.
That's good. Something that's come to my mind that I have to ask you, you know, we've talked about your faith, your religion, the Seventh-day Adventist, and of course you're also a social worker, both in the UK and I guess in Ghana because you're doing the charity thing. What if you're faced with a situation where you know that you have to do the right thing according to the law? Maybe a child is in danger and you have to move them, but also with you being Christian and religious and that, you think maybe should I give the family a chance? Have you ever been faced with that situation? And if you have been, or you ever get faced with that situation, what would you do?
To be honest, as a social worker, I mean, there's a lot of cases or people you work with where your faith conflicts with what you have to do. And, you know, as part of my practice, I can't mix my faith with what I have to do.
Yeah.
So I've been in many situations where I have to, even the sort of advice I give to people as a social worker, you know, I have to really, really be careful on how, if it kind of goes against my faith, it's very difficult. It's a difficult one.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's something I would say, even in the beginning of social work, I struggled with a lot. Because being a Christian, there's certain things I don't agree with. But, you know, as a social worker, you work with different types of people.
Yeah.
Different types of genders, different types of beliefs, different types of, you know, I work with all sorts of people. But you have to empower them and not promote what they're doing, but I mean, you can't discriminate against them and stuff like that. So it's like I have to find a middle ground. And I think God understands my heart and understands where I'm coming from. So I just put everything in God's hands because I'm not going to get everything perfect, you know, but just making sure I don't, you know, forget my faith and my beliefs. But at the same time, able to still fulfill my role as a social worker or whatever I have to do. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So yeah, we're bringing this to a close shortly, but can you tell me a bit more about your values, if any? What are your values? Just give me 1, 2, or 3.
Okay. One value I would say I have is respect.
Yeah.
Treating others as you would like to be treated. I think everyone should just be respected, no matter what age, no matter what colour, no matter what status. That I think that's my overall value for everything. Just respect one another, treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that would be the one value I would say.
Well, let's add another one then. You mentioned communication to me some time ago. Tell me a bit more about that being a value.
Yeah, with communication, communication is very important in everything, in relationships, in families, at work, in friendships. Communications, effective communication, because without that, it's difficult to have understanding wherever you go. So that's something I would say. We need to be able to communicate effectively with one another and find understanding through communication and learn how to communicate in different ways, because everybody's different. Sometimes people have different types of interpretation. You may see 9, I may see 6. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you're wrong or I'm right. We need to find different ways to understand each other through effective communication.
What does effective communication look like to you? So if, for example, somebody is watching you and they've heard you talk about effective communication, what would it look like to you?
That's quite a big question, because we have different types of people on this earth. Some people do sign language. There's different types of communication. I can't give one type of communication, otherwise I'm going to be very biased. Of course, yeah. But I think it's about understanding who you're speaking to and finding a way to kind of understand the person and the person to understand you. Yeah. Otherwise, we tend to misjudge people. Yeah, yeah. And yeah.
And I guess if you don't know, you have to ask.
Exactly.
So if I'm unsure about something or somebody, rather than me make up something about them,
ask.
If there's the opportunity to go and ask them, then I can go and ask. And hopefully I can get the answer. And that's also part of effective communication. Thank you for sharing those with me. Who are your role models then? Do you have anyone who inspires you in this world? You must have 1 or 2 people, hence why you're doing so well.
Role models. I've never really had any role models actually, but I would say my parents. Yeah. Reason why I say my parents is because, you know, my parents weren't born in this country. Yeah. They came from Ghana, and they've come here and they've worked very, very hard, and they've never given up. It hasn't been easy for them, and I think as a child, watching my parents going through certain things, you know, it's made me as a child not want to give up with certain things. It's made me want to make them proud. It's made me want to just keep going, because I've watched them my whole life. So if I had to think of role models, I would say my parents.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. I'm sure they will be very happy watching you speak about them so nicely. Thank you. This is the bit where I give you a chance to ask me questions. You know, I'll give you space to ask me 2 questions maximum. It could be 1, it could be 2. What would you like to ask me? You don't have to ask me anything, but think about it.
Let me think of a question. When I watched your part 1 of the introduction to the NYN Show, which I actually filmed.
Yes.
You actually shared a bit of your story. And I think you didn't get enough time to kind of elaborate.
Okay.
So I want to ask, how has it been as a single mother, raising 2 kids on your own? How have you coped with that? Working, how have you managed the 2?
Yeah. It's just weird when the the table gets turned and you're being interviewed. You have to think. So now my facial expression is changing because I'm trying to think about the question. But yeah, it's a good question, and thank you for asking me that. Some people watch the intro and they were like, "Oh, what is she going to talk about?" It's not always about the negatives, but it's about how you turn your life around, how you look for the positives, even where everything is pointing negatively. And I think similarly to you, it's God. I've always been a Christian, and I've always had good networks, support networks around me. So immediate family, extended family, and my 2 children are my inspiration. I know Kirsten wants to give herself a big job title as part of this show, but she inspires me, and she's just only 11. So they keep me going. There are times that I'm an extrovert, so I get my energy from external sources. And when I'm with people, I'm happy. But there are times that I want to be in my own space, and those are my quiet moments. And when they come and check up on me, "Are you okay, mommy?" Nathan will ask me, "How are you doing?" and all that, and it helps. But I've always been ambitious as well. So I work full time, and currently I work for a government department as a learning and organizational development consultant, and studying for a first degree, studying for a master's degree, and even everything I've done full time. So from my part 1, you notice that I studied full time, I worked full time, and I got pregnant and raised kids and was a wife at some point. But I think it's about having goals as well, because I've always had a plan. In 5 years time I want to get here, and so if I'm here and I want to get there, what can I do to get myself there? And that's how it happened. And yeah, so support network from church, praying, believing in God, and just taking advantage of opportunities around. Hence why I do the show, Your Happiness is my priority, which is a subject for another conversation. But yeah, that's just how I do it.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. One other question which kind of follows up from that one is, what would you advise other single mothers out there? Because I know there's a lot of strong single mothers just as yourself. What would you say to them to keep them going?
That's also a very good question, and I have to think about it before I answer it. I think you've touched on some of those in your conversation, Danny, that it's never straightforward, it's never easy. And once you know that it's not easy, then you're always going to want to do something to try and achieve anything. So I guess you need to start off by having goals, clear goals, realistic goals. So in the world of learning and organizational development, we talk about SMART goals, being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So once you have all those clear goals, hopefully you'll be able to plan and say, I want to get a master's degree. How would I do it? Let me get somebody to help look after the children, or even negotiate with work and do flexible working. So you're not working part-time necessarily, but you're arranging your work pattern so that you can have time to go and study, and just keep persevering. But without goals, you will be lost in this world. So goals are like a compass that guides you through life. And I think that's what I would say. Take advantage of support network. There are people who go through issues and they're like, oh no, I don't want to share my problem with anyone. I want to deal with it on my own. It will be harder for you to try and deal with it on your own. Don't talk to every Tom, Dick and Harry, because there's certain people you can't trust. But find 1 or 2 people that you can really trust, and hopefully they can support you. And just look at it this way: you would never be the first single mom or even single dad in this world. Somebody has done it before, and there will be others behind you. So definitely just look for people who have done it, who have excelled, and have role models in life. I mean, one of my role models is Oprah Winfrey. She's got a beautiful story, but we can't go into that. Tyler Perry also inspires me because he writes and he acts in some of his movies, and whenever I watch it, like Single Moms Club and all of those, they teach me a lot. And so that's how I've managed to get here. So yeah, it wouldn't be easy, but when you look at your kids in years to come, and you've seen the journey from when, for example, in my part 1, when I said, the dad left when they were 5 and 3, and looking at them now, Kirsten being 11 and Nathan being 13, you just know that, God has been on your side. So yeah, the future is bright. Hopefully the future will continue to be orange.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me.
You're very welcome, Danny. So yeah, in wrapping it up all together, there is this short I call it like game that I've designed. And but before we do the game, quickly, what are the 3 things you want people to remember you for after this interview or when they watch this?
3 things I would say I want people to remember is, number 1, never give up on your dreams. Number 2, if you're Christian or religious, always pray. If you're not, there's always other coping mechanisms or systems you can find, whether it's going to friends and family to support you. Number 3, no matter what your age is, you can always pursue your dreams. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you have a business plan, you want to, whatever you feel like doing, do it. Don't procrastinate. It's possible. The impossible is possible. Don't ever think, you're too old or you're too young for anything. The same way, I was able to launch my charity, the same way I was able to start my media, go to university. I failed in first year, but I continued. I didn't give up. I would say the same to you guys. Continue. Don't worry about your age or what's happening in life. We all fail at some point, but you should just keep going, because in this life, things happen. Look at COVID. It came and a lot of things have happened. People had plans and they had to knock off those plans, but you still have to keep going. So I'll just say keep going, don't give up, and that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danny. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. We're wrapping it up now. But before we do our short fun game in that, how would people be able to contact you? If, for example, they want to know more about your charity or your media stuff, for example, they want to book you for an event or something, how would they reach you?
If you want to reach me for media purposes, you can find me on Instagram, Luke Daniels Media. For my charity, DNA Social Services, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's it.
Excellent. So now fun times and the game. So just go with the first thing that comes to your head. Hopefully this will help us gain a bit more insight into Danny. Heads or tails?
Head.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Nigeria jollof rice or Ghana jollof rice?
Ghana jollof rice, of course.
Why is that?
Oh, I'm Ghanaian. I make Ghanaian jollof rice. So.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I'll go with that as well. Daddy or mommy?
Daddy. Oh, God. I hope they're not going to watch this.
Yeah, I won't ask you why daddy. Yeah, we'll save them that.
Yeah.
Fanta or Coke?
Fanta.
Spotify or YouTube?
YouTube.
Okay. Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram. Yeah.
Would you go with a husband or boyfriend?
Husband.
Okay. That's interesting. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Okay. And last but not the least, like or respect?
Respect.
Respect. And juice or water?
Water.
Excellent. Danny, thank you for coming on this show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So thank you for watching Danielle's story. If by watching the story you've been inspired and you've started to think about your own story and you'd like to share it with us, however small, please contact us via the details on the screen. You can contact us on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. We're also offering mentoring opportunities where we pair you up with people who share similar interests to you, whether that is to make decisions about universities, career choices. You even want some help with interviews because you've got a job interview coming up, or even how to complete application form. By all means, please do contact us and we will try and work with you to help you. You can either email us or you can call us. We exist to ensure you're well developed, supported with everything you need to hopefully create your own stories one day. We're also looking for people to sponsor us. So whether you've got business and you'd like your business recognized, please by all means get in touch. And if you don't have a business as such, but you are a philanthropist and you want to support this great cause, by all means also contact us and we'll be happy to receive your support, whether financial or cash or kind, anything. Thank you, and we will be back again soon. God bless. Take care. Bye.